I was born in Rwanda, and I left when I was a little girl in the 60s, when many people were forced to go out of the country because of the history that you know. Actually, I was in primary 3 when I left this country. Actually, I was born here in Kigali at Seashka. Seashka existed at that time. I don't know how it was called at that time, but I know that I was born there, in that hospital. And when we left the countries and went some of the neighboring countries, as you know, people were not stable. They were going from a country to another. So I have been in some of the countries around neighboring Rwanda, and did my studies there till I get an opportunity to get a scholarship. It was a miracle because at that time, a refugee person getting a scholarship to go in Western countries, it was just a dream. It was a miracle, but for some reason I got that opportunity and went out of the country and studied journalism and the communications. So my dream at that time, to tell you the truth, when I was young, because I did what at that time they were calling scientific studies in secondary school, I had a lot of dreams of being a researcher, but because of circumstances of that time, because my parents couldn't afford it, I had to do what I could do at that time. And when I got a scholarship to go out, it was a scholarship to go journalism. So I took it as an opportunity, not because really I was dreaming to be a journalist, but because I really wanted to have education and to be empowered. And very quickly, I liked it. I liked it not because only you meet people, you report on people, you report on events, but you are very involved in what is happening around you. It opens up your eyes. It opens up your spirit. It gives you, I'm not really making a publicity of that journalism, but I think it is a good it is a good way to understand things, to explore what you didn't know, and to be connected to so many people you could not even dream you'd be connected to. I'm not talking about people who are at a certain level of authority or whatever, but the people who are really at the ground and understanding the pains, understanding the dream that are lost, seeing people who have been abused or people who have been empowered also in a certain way. So I think that is something, it was an eye opener on the world. But if I can go back also, as I said, living in the diaspora as a refugee person and having been in some camps, I saw what was happening in families. I saw the pain of women who were really the backbone of families, but who were not recognized as such. I saw how girls were abused. I saw how girls had no opportunities. And in the back of my head, I didn't decide I'm going to work for gender equality, because at that time, there was no even that word of gender equality existing. And I couldn't figure out what I will do. But I felt in me something that really I want to contribute to ensure that girls can go to school, to ensure that women can have medical support without really suffering as they were suffering at that time. I felt I really needed to contribute in a way. I couldn't put a name, gender equality or women's empowerment at that time, but I felt that trigger in me. And when I was offered the opportunity to start a career when I can really contribute to thinking, strategizing, and reporting on issues regarding gender equality and women's empowerment, I think that was part of my dream, and I took it with gladness and commitment. Let me tell you, you know, sometimes things come without you knowing that they're coming. My first, I think, my first shock was when I went to report it on a judiciary case. It was in a court somewhere outside Africa, and a woman had been raped by a gang of young people. And in the court, it was treated like something that was not really a big deal because that woman was in a bar. And the question from the court had been, but why were you in that bar at that time? The problem was not why these people raped that person. And the guys, they are, I think, 4 or 5, if I remember well, they kept saying, oh, she was sitting at the bar, she was doing da 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 da. She looked like she really wanted, she looked like she wanted it. And from that time, I felt an anger in me that this is not right. And I'm telling you, I don't name the country, it was not in Africa. It was not in Africa. It gave me something at that time. Already I felt really we needed to engage and to expose that injustice. Definitely, you know, the pain that the people got, it was a very, very light pain because sentence, because people are saying, oh, but this is a woman who always is in bar. We have seen her in another bar. We have seen also her. So what? She was in a bar. That is her right to be in a bar, but it was not permitted that she could be gang raped. So that was one of the incidents that really made me think about a lot of stuff, and many memories of what I saw in Africa when I started working in environment, as I told you, in the informal sector. I saw a lot of abuses. I saw a lot of pain. I saw a lot of injustice. And I understood that something has to be done. At that time, I didn't know how I will address it. It was difficult. I was young and without any means. But you know, sometimes when you want, you get. I was able later to be recruited by the United Nations and to be involved in so many activities and programs that are contributing to empower women or to protect women. And it really shaped my way of thinking that there is something that can be done and that situation can change. It is not a situation that has to be there forever. It is something that has to be changed, can be changed, and I'm happy that I'm seeing that happening in Rwanda. Okay, so it has been many responsibilities, but mainly it has been evolving in empowering women and contributing to human rights in general. As I said at the beginning, I was involved in, I worked for what we called at that time radio and development. At that time there was no television.
Which year was that?
It was in the 80s. There was no television where I started working. It was in a very remote city in a neighboring country. And we were using the radio as a tool of development. We were using the radio to make sure that the remote communities can know the rights, can know how to protect people, not only women at that time, because even men and the boys were also facing some kind of challenges in that country. So we were using the radio to reach out to the remote communities, the most vulnerable communities, to ensure that they know their rights, that they know how to deal with it, to make sure that they know institutions that deal with different issues that they are facing, but also to connect them to the different part of the world because they are very marginalized, very vulnerable people. And that was my first contact really with communities that are vulnerable, that are marginalized. And you can understand when the whole community is suffering exclusion, women and girls, I can't tell you what is happening then. Because those who are already marginalized, they are also marginalized women and girls. So that was my first position. And I moved quickly for, again, contributing to environment and contributing to the informal sector. The informal sector, this is sector that is not really known, not documented, but that is contributing to the development of nations. So I had really very excellent insights from really knowing that beyond industries, beyond institutions that are official that we see, underground there is a lot of people, there is a lot of contribution that is really allowing nations to live and to strive. And again there, I was also again faced by that exclusion of some of the communities, but also some of the category of peoples like women and girls, but also people like the people living with disability, the people that are refugees. So that was also something that opened my mind to what I had to do later. And then I was blessed and I had the opportunity to move to other much more strategic positions, actually with the United Nations, and be at the level of discussing policies, discussing some big decisions that can shape the world. I think that is also where I have gained some of the insight that the whole world has challenges in that domain. It is not only Africa, it is not only the poor communities, but wherever you go, there is still, I know we are going to discuss about Beijing. That is why the Beijing will come in. It is not an issue of poor communities, it is not an issue of rich or poor people. It is the whole world that has a challenge on really respecting inclusion of some categories of human beings and recognizing their right and their contribution. So till I came to Rwanda, when I finished my assignment in the United Nations in 2013, I worked more than 15 years with the United Nations. First of all, when I joined, the first time I joined Rwanda, it was in 95. It was just after the genocide against the Tutsi in 95. And therefore, and institutions were being set up. And I had the opportunity and to work with the Ministry of Gender at that time, Family and Gender. And later I went back to the United Nations. What I can say from that time, from the time of I joined in 95 till today, the change that has been, that can be seen anyway, is tremendous. It is something that, although we still have a lot to do, but I can tell you without any doubt that things changed. I can give you some examples. When I joined in 95 this country, the first assessment that was done very randomly, it was chilling, the situation of girls and women. Seriously, I'm telling you the truth, it was chilling. For example, a woman in this country was not allowed to have a bank account. Something that is so simple for you today. Today you don't even ask if do I have a right to go? Can I go to the bank? But at that time, it was not possible. For some of us who were coming from some other countries, it was something that was taking you out of breath, saying, how can I do remember, I'm not going to name a bank. I went to help some women to open account bank, and I was told, you can't. That was in 96. It was women organization, and we wanted some women to have account bank, and we were told, no, they can't have account bank. The law doesn't allow it. To tell you to which extent, it is not only at the level of the family, don't do that, you are a woman, but it is the level of the country itself and the law of the country of that time. It is denying your economic rights at the beginning. Something that also everybody might not know, because now when things are done, people think it has been like this. You remember, after 94, a lot of people had gone out of the country, and women stayed in the country, some women. They couldn't say, this is my land. They couldn't say, this is my house. You need to have somebody from the family, a male person, to help you to get to your field, to go to own your own belongings. It was so terrible that some people, some families were suffering where they had assets. And for women, it was a very difficult time. And remember, we had a lot of widows. We had a lot of widows who couldn't access and enjoy what their husband had left and what they had also contributed to. So trying to go quick to what we have today, no one today will ask you if somebody has given you a right to have account account in a bank. Nobody will tell you, this is not your field, this is not your house because you are a woman. They will ask you papers to prove that it is yours, without looking at your gender. Are you a male or a female person, or a girl? Or so this is something that is very big. People can look at it as something that is simple, but at that time it was a huge challenge for the development of this country, but also for the development of families and for the welfare of women. Let's talk about education. Most of the women were not educated. They were not educated. Because when you had a lot of resources, the resources will go to your brother, will go to a boy in the house, not for the girl. So now what is happening is that we are closing the gap of education for girls. If you go in the data, we had the data, recent data here, you'll see how it has evolved and how now, not only in terms of enrollment, but also in terms of completion, how women, girls are now going in all the fields, all the sector, and getting not only the good education that they need, but also completing, because the problem we have had a lot for a long time in Rwanda, they were in the primary school, they were enrolled, but couldn't finish and go to secondary school and go to university. Of course. So things have been, because when you give to somebody an education, a full education, a complete education, you are already completely empowering somebody. But also in terms of employment, when women started going to school, it was those soft and social affairs things, tailoring, hair, whatever, those kind of stuff. But now we see them everywhere. Of course, we still have a gap in some of the trades, like science and technology. We are having, even in vocational training, we see them much more in hairdressing, nails, etc., treating less than, for example, in welding, in any other kind of mechanics or whatever. But it is coming. Even when they are not fully there as we would want, but nothing is preventing them to go there. There is no law, there is no hindrance. And there are programs that are pushing them, empowering them, supporting them, facilitating that they get there. That is a big change. But the most important change I see, it is at the mindset. It is the mindset. You know, you can change things, but tomorrow they come back again. But the fact that ideologically there is no discrimination, that the constitution, that the laws are fully aligned to that ideology of equality and inclusion, I think that the most important change of that the country has brought in. The rest is a consequence of it. Let me say something first, because sometimes there are so many platform conferences, treaties, conventions that happen all over the world, and we adhere to them. And sometimes people think that we have changed things because of those. Let's make it very clear. Because Beijing came in 95, but in 94, when this country was liberated, if you look at the manifesto of the RPF at that time, you know, the commitment that came in Beijing were already in there. So this I'm saying it that you do understand why for Rwanda approving and adopting Beijing was easy. It is because it was already set in the liberation ideology. So this has to be flagged because it is one of the causes that made us fast in implementing the Beijing. So now come the Beijing. The Beijing was a whole world recognition that something has to be done. Although it is crafted in some 12 areas, but the spirit was much more broader. It was about equality, it was about justice, it was about inclusion, and it was about responsibility and accountability. So, and when it came, and meeting what we had already in Rwanda is already our commitment due to the liberation ideology, it was really much more easy to implement it. Of course, in terms of resources, in terms of capacity, in terms of strategy, there were some challenges. But in terms of agreement, there was no discussion. This no, this no, this yes, this no. It was adopted because it was already set in this country. I know some countries where it was a huge discussion. Because, for example, they had not accepted that men and women can be equal. It is not Beijing that is going to make them change it. They will do some small things and will not the full of it. For us, that discussion was not there. You can go to the archives, you will not anywhere see that we were challenging the ideology of equality. Because we had that, Beijing fall in a good ground. The 12 areas for the good ground, we wanted the implementation. We were not discussing the validity. This is very critical and very important, and can also explain why it was fast in Rwanda to implement it, because it has been fast. How was it? The question is, how was it implemented? First of all, at that time, Beijing was completely integrated. And if you can't remember, it might be because you were not you're so young. But that time there was an office of Beijing office that was created so that the country can implement, can monitor, and continue influencing that those commitments are really mainstreamed in the different institutions and in the different decisions of the country. So the country, Rwanda, took that very seriously and created that office of Beijing. And that office of Beijing later, it will be merged with the gender monitoring office and become one office. So to tell you that in terms of implementation, Rwanda took the commitment very seriously. It took the commitment as an added value to implement what it had already in its ideology. And it took the step to institutionalize the implementation of Beijing through the Beijing office. And that Beijing office has been for a while, for a long time before the Gender Monitoring Office was set up, was the one monitoring the implementation and looking at the integration of the commitment, the 12 areas in other decisions that the country was taking. So it was a very smooth transition. It was a very smooth implementation. Of course, we had issues because at that time, remember, we were in a kind of emergency phase. And when we are in emergency phase, you look first at saving lives, making people have a roof, making people have food, making people can go to the medical facilities, making sure that we have education. So in that transition, of course, there are some of the implementations that were going slowly because we had that challenge of the emergence of that situation. But as soon as the reconstruction period came, we could see how now the different implementations in the different sectors, things were really evolving quickly. Look at the education. If you look at the area of education, what has been done in Rwanda is fantastic. Of course, we still need more in some domains, but really it was fantastic. We saw women embracing all kinds of sectors, trade. We saw enrollment increasing. We saw completion increasing. Look at the financial sector. We saw access to finance for women. The same woman who couldn't even have a bank account now is engaging at all levels. And by the way, if you look at what's happening in the financial sector, especially the banking sector today, look, most of the banks today are led by women. And now, with the new nomination of Madame Soraya at the National Bank, and you'll see that in the financial sector, things have been really moving at a very good pace. But also the way women now are engaging, not only at the women level, because the efforts are to include them in the official mainstream of financial transactions. If you look at the way women now are accessing finance, are working with Momo and sending and buying and doing the transaction at the very remote, because technology has allowed women to go quickly where they could have not gone before. Because going to the bank, you're coming from a remote village, you have to go to a bank, and now you can transact where you are, in your kitchen, in your room, wherever. That also has helped much. And the inclusion, financial inclusion, has been something that has been tremendous and is something that we should really document. I know that AFAIR is launching its report today. I think we are going to have a lot of good news from that report. I think it is going to come out today, and I think we are going to have a very good report. But if you go to the health sector, women were dying like nothing. In the 90s, maternal mortality was at a level that was alarming. See what is happening today. It went down. Of course, we want it to be as down as possible. But if you see the progress and how it decreased, it is also showing how the different area of Beijing have been implemented. You know, in terms of, for example, economy, let's start by the economy. There are a lot of things that has been done, and we can see everywhere. Go to the market, you will see. Go at Nyabugogo, wherever you see women transacting, doing, etc., etc. Really, things have happened. In the bank, look at what is happening. Things are moving. But still, we still have a way to go. One, the first thing is the mindset. You know, you can change laws. You can change programs, but changing the mindset is something that takes a lot of time. It is true, we have now passed 30 years of implementing Beijing, but you know, 30 years is not really a lot of time. It is a lot of time, on the other side, it's not too much. We really need to work on the mindset. Why? Because, for example, what we have seen, when in a family, it is easy for a man to say, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to give him the house as a familiar house as a collateral. It will be agreed between the family and they do it. But when it is a woman, because she's not yet trusted to be able to do good business, there is still some worries. Maybe she will not do as well. If it is a small, you can do a small boutique, you can do a small this, but really my house, taking it for your business, it is not. So it is an issue of mindset. We have to see many women investing, doing business, so they can be trusted, not only by the family, but by everyone. Even when you go to the bank, even you go to wherever, there is still some fear that the woman will not perform as well as a man. So that is an issue of mentality. It is not an issue of performance. Because when you go to the bank, they tell you women pay better than men. But still there is that fear that if you not perform as well as men. But also, we have not yet really engaged men and women for big businesses. So this is something that we have. We have some now. I'm very happy that now the head of the private sector is a woman, and it has been there for a while. Now they are really, the inclusion is coming, is visible, and all of these are going to make people much more secure to say, a girl, a woman can also transact, can invest, can do the business as well as anybody. So at the level of the economic level, there are still some small pocket of issues that we have to analyze. Why are they still there? What are they still a hindrance to the contribution of women in the economic side? And see what are the best strategy that can make things move quickly. Things are moving, but they have to move much more faster. Things are moving. So if you look at education, again the issue of mentality, oh, you have to be married at this age. So this again, the focus is not about performing, going as far as your brain can give you your resources. It is about, oh, my age, or my weight, or my whatever. This is still, because the environment is judging you. You're not married. I see when you go to the, you're aging of what? Huh? So, and in your brain, you have to get somebody, you have to be married, and then you're married, is not bad, and then you start having responsibilities. And because, again, of the mentality of the traditions, when you are married, you have to have a baby quickly. Everybody is like, where's the baby? Where's the baby? So we have to bring that baby quickly, and when that baby comes, then you have responsibilities. You can travel, you can do this, you see, all this is something that we have to see. How do we manage it? It is good to be married. We want people to be married, but we want also to perform in the businesses. We want them to perform in the research. We want them to go as far as they can. Look for, I've asked some of the girls, why don't you join the medical, not only the nurse and etc. Why don't you be doctors, kidney, whatever? But they tell me it is too many years. But too many years compared to what? Because they said, I have to get married. Because the environment are telling you, no, you have to do that. So it is up to us now to see how to change those mentalities, but also to help women to be there, to confront those mentalities. So don't, when they ask you, are you married? Don't be afraid that I would say, no, I'm not yet. So what? What's the child? Say, no, I've planned. No, you can have your child, but when you want, not because somebody is putting pressure on you. I think it would be good to ask me, where do you see the future of the Rwandan child? Because for me, being a boy or a woman I really want to see a future where they all evolve, they all strive, they all contribute, and they can achieve their dreams, whatever the sex of the child. We should reach a stage where we don't ask if this is a girl or a boy, talking about a Rwandan child, giving them the same opportunities, giving them the same ambitions. I want to see the woman, the girl, having the same ambitions as a boy, not having any limitation. We will be limited by the sky, will be limited by the resources, will be limited, but not by who you are. This is what we have to put in the mindset of the family, the father, the mother, the country, the teacher, the society, is that look at me as a Rwandan, look at me in terms of my ambitions, my capacities, what I'm striving for, but don't look at me as a woman, a man, a boy, or a girl. Give me the freedom of really dreaming as far and as high as I can. So for me, the dream I have, the future I see, it's the same for the boy and the girl. It's a future where a Rwandan child is able to strive, is able to bring solutions, is able to solve. Not always we are looking at the outside, the continent and the country to find the solution. I'm dreaming where I will see a woman sitting and finding a solution to our problems without looking at the outside, being able to innovate, being able to invest, being able to do things that are going to contribute to the development of the family, of the country, and of herself. Me, I don't have different dreams of women and girls. I really dream for the Rwandan child. Yeah, thank you so much to give me the opportunity, because there is something that has been burning and really bothering me, especially when I'm very happy to talk to the media, is what I see, how the girl is portrayed in the media. When you open social media, I don't see, and I wish to see, oh, that girl has innovated this and this. That girl has contributed to this. But what I see in the media is just trivial. I see people with sex things, I see fashion things, I don't see, and I know women are doing things. I know girls are doing things. And I wish, and this is a message really I'm giving also to the big community in the social media, that we need, if we really want to contribute, if we really want to give something to women in this country, please let's portray the good things, the important things, the challenges they are solving, the contribution they are doing. And I want to give the same message to my mate women and girls. Please, if we go to social media, if we go to anything that you are showing up, let's show up our contribution to the development of this country. Let's show up the contribution we are doing so that girls and women can thrive and develop. Let's show those things, because when I see the social media, it is like the only thing we women are good in is just on dancing. Dance is good. You can perform and even do things. But this is not the only thing you can do. It is not about the length of my skirt. It is not about the makeup I've done. I'm not saying it because I'm an old person, I'm an adult, but I say it because I have ambitions and I know women are doing things. Can we portray them in those approaches? Can we show what good they are doing? Or if you tell me they're not doing anything, then I'll be very scared of where we are and what you are doing. But my message is, you are doing good things, young women. You are contributing. Can we show it in the social media? Can we talk about it in social media? Can we a bit put aside other things and really show up our contribution, because we want people to know what we are contributing, our girls are contributing to. We want their dreams to be seen. This is my message to all of us.